Hey, good evening, everybody. What's going on? It's Tracks and Tackle, and we got the gang back together tonight. Looking forward to a great episode. It's been a while. I was telling these guys it's been a while since we got everybody together hanging out, but we got the boys from 3B Outdoors, and Josh, you're representing the cookbook, so you're
Yes,
you're like
sir.
carrying the banner for multiple medias here. So good to have you with us. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, buddy. I'm excited to hear your little story about the back straps on the truck.
Yeah, well, that's the whole idea tonight. Tonight we're gonna sort of gather around the campfire. We Chris and I got together last night or last week, I guess, and spent a little bit of time telling some stories. And I know you guys have got some tales to tell, so we're gonna have some hunt camp stories tonight. We're gonna catch everybody up on how the season is. Rut's in full swing right now. I've got deer, like I was covered up in bucks today on my tree stand, and it's the best time of year. It really is no greater time if you love deer hunting. So, with that, Chris, how you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm here, ready to rock and roll. Got a hoodie on again. It's that time of year, so can't complain, right?
Air's turning crisp.
Yeah. I would say we're ready to rumble.
Let's rumble a little bit. We've been rolling out on the Rumble stream, and we're using the Rumble Studio app, and we've getting mixed reviews from everybody coming on here. So I won't badmouth them, but it's definitely a new tool that we're utilizing.
Yeah, that's all I'll say.
So go ahead, man. Why don't you tee us
Yeah,
up here
so
tonight for the episode?
shifting gears. Yeah, man. So it's that time of year. Everybody's deer hunting. And, one of my favorite podcasts through the Meat Eater series, they have a podcast called Bear Grease. And 2 or 3 times a year, he just gets guys on the show and they do deer stories. He just takes a mic to a friend of his or a fellow hunter, and they just tell a story. So that's what we're going to do tonight, man. We're going to tell some stories. Josh kind of inspired us when he was on Average Joe's telling some funny stuff. So that's what we're going to do, man. So lead lead us off, dude. You tell us a good story, man.
I'm gonna bring up my first ever buck here. I was 12 years old, hunting on the Eastern Shore. It was junior hunt, so of course I was the only one in the woods on our property with a rifle. My dad and my brother had bows, of course, and nice cold November morning. And my father and I walked in about a mile and a half to one of my tree stands, and it was kind of cool how they built it. So they built the tree stand with a four. It was all wooden built, permanent stand, but they built a 4x4 platform on one side of the tree, and then about 2 foot higher, another 4x4 platform on the other side of the tree. And I would get up on one side, and my dad would get up on the other side, and we could cover the whole entire old river we had. But we're sitting there, probably 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's windy. It's one of those cold mornings. I'm a kid. I'm like, I want to get out. I'm cold. I don't want to do this. Why are we doing this? This isn't worth it. And my dad's like, let's just move. Let's find another spot. We'll move closer to the truck. There's another stand that we can get into. So we took a nice walk. And back then, of course, like I said, I'm a junior hunter at the time, and he would tie a rope to me. All of our trees were permanent built trees with telephone pole spikes, and to make sure I didn't fall, he'd tie a rope around me and just make sure I was making it up the tree safely. Well, as he's helping me up, he looks over, and this buck is 5 yards away from the tree stand in the brush on the other side. That buck watched us walk in, climb up the tree. So he gets me up, unties me real quick, pulls up the gun. He's like, here, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. I go to pull up the rifle, and I'm like, it's not loaded. You didn't load it. I have no round. So he's quickly throwing a round into. I was using a Remington or Winchester Remington 35, and he throws a shell in there. I pull up. All I saw was shoulder. Pulled the trigger. Deer takes off. runs about 100 yards, and he grabs the gun from me. He's looking through the scope to make sure I shot it, and next thing I see is it just fall over. And he's like, "You did it! You shot it! You shot it!" So of course my brother's in the woods, and he's like calling us. This was back before cell phones, so we had radios. And he's like, "You guys shoot? Was that you?" And my dad's like, "Yeah, that was Lee. He shot a buck." He's like, "All right, I'll come look for it. I'll come help you guys pull it out." So he comes about 25 minutes later. Could not find the deer. While we're standing in the tree, all excited, the deer must have got up. And so we start tracking blood. We had a good blood trail. And if any of you hunted the Eastern Shore, it's kind of like hunting Western Maryland, where you have a wall of briars. You can't see through that wall. Well, this deer had crawled underneath one of those little hedgerows, and there it laid. It was only probably another 30 yards. So I was able to put my hands on my first ever buck. That was my first ever buck. I'd shot a doe, my first ever deer, the year before with a muzzleloader, but that was my first ever buck. And that story I will always remember that. My dad always pulling me up the tree, afraid I'm going to fall, slip. I got gloves on. Got my full face mask on. He's trying to coach me through everything. It damn near he wanted to grab the gun out of my hand because he was so excited.
All sure. That's
But
the hard part whenever you got youngsters and you're getting them involved, is just to restrain yourself.
Yep. And I mean, like I was telling Ron, I'm going to be living this very soon because, as you know, we know Maryland opens up for junior hunt in 2 weekends, and Easton's going to be going out. My son's going to be going out for the very first time, and I feel like I'm going to have my father's actions if he shoots a deer, because it's so exciting, and being able to do it now as a parent is just a whole new world. So, and I know Josh is the same way. His daughter just shot a deer. So it's like, I don't care if I shoot a deer at all this year. If my wife and my son, smack deer all year, I will be the happiest person in the world.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Once they're on the ground, that's when the work begins. Anyway,
That's right.
Squeezing
That's right.
the triggers when it's all the fun. All right. So two takeaways that I want to parlay before we go into more storytelling. But how many of us? I'm guessing everybody's had that instance where either the gun's not loaded when you need it to be, or gun malfunction. Like, we've all gone through that. Any wild stories with something like that happening for you other guys?
Yeah. I mean, I actually debated telling this whole story. I won't tell the whole story, but I hunted with a gun that I don't normally hunt with. It's actually a 300 Winchester Magnum that my grandfather and dad took out west when they were hunting mountain ridge to mountain ridge. And where I hunt, Josh will tell you, it's on top of the hill. Lee's been there because we pheasant hunt there. If I have a chance, if I wanted to, I could shoot 200, 300, 400 yards if I want. So I said, I'm going to take this gun. So we shot in. I didn't shoot it in. Our dad had cleaned it up for me good, but he forgot to put the magazine spring back in the bottom of the thing. So in the dark, I climb up the tree. I go to put a shell in. I hear clank. And I'm in the dark in the tree stand trying to figure out where this went. So I got to load this thing like a World War I gun.
Yeah.
Just put one shell in, so always check your stuff, right?
Know your gear,
Yes.
man. Know your gear.
Yeah.
Josh, any experience with equipment malfunctions?
Yeah, lots of them. So Chris wants to tell his side of the story, the story that I told on the Average Joe's podcast. But yeah, I shot at a nice sized buck one time. I guess I just completely whiffed the shot, didn't hit him, touch him, or anything, and I was using a single shot slug, Chris's 20 gauge single shot slug gun, and I smoke cigarettes, so my thing was I couldn't find the shells because they were in a box about the size of my cigarette pack, and I had one in each of my chest pockets. So I'm fumbling around trying to find a shell, and this deer's staring at me. Luckily he ended up staring at me and snorting at me and grunting at me for long enough that I was able to get a shell in and take the deer. But man, that was frustrating.
I will say, as duck hunters, I feel like all three of us have more malfunctions or
Oh,
empty
yeah.
guns when it comes to duck hunting. Because Chris, we were with Goldie.
I've never chambered around.
Yes, we're with Goldie shooting geese, and geese are just coming in, and I pull up, click, never reloaded the gun. That happens all the time when you're duck hunting. Not so much deer
Yeah.
hunting, but all the time when you're duck hunting.
Yeah, I
Well,
got that
it
famous
gets hot and
story.
heavy, right?
Yeah, I got that famous story we tell all the time from one of our pheasant hunts. Remember, I mean, there's a picture of me. It looks pretty as a Bass Pro Shop ad. I'm pulled up on this pheasant. They're filming, and I didn't have a gun chambered it or a bullet chambered at all.
Click.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so that was one takeaway from your story, Lee. The other one, that got me thinking. You said about how you had that wall of greenbriers, and deer will get into the tightest spots.
Yes.
And certainly, I'll speak for myself. When I was a kid, I was the dog that was sent into those tight spots.
Yep. Yep.
Whether deer was live or whether it was dead,
Yep.
it's either go retrieve or go be a brush dog and move that thing for us and get it on its feet. So I don't know if you guys any fond memories or not so fond memories of having to fight through tight spots to get to a deer.
I had to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the
My
hardest retrieval you've
my
had to do?
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a different story. There's hard retrievals, and then there's getting into some thick
Yeah.
stuff. The first doe I shot this year with my bow, she
Yeah.
only went 35 yards, and I couldn't. It took me an hour and a half to find her. She went 35 yards, but she buried herself in this thicket, and I was having trouble getting through it just to even find blood.
Mhm.
That was tough. But no, we've had some pretty hard. I've had some pretty hard tracks. Captain Tim, my best friend, we have a story about what we call the 3 mile buck. So Timmy, he doesn't own a muzzle loader. I have a muzzle loader. He early muzzle loader season, bucks only. He's walking into our farm with his bow. I have my muzzle loader. I literally just got my butt on the seat in my tree stand, and he's texting me, Josh, there's an 8-point. He just bedded down in this thicket. If you can get down here with your muzzleloader, I know we can get him to stand up and you can get a shot. So I do that. So I climb down, get all my stuff down, walk all the way out to him. He literally goes in, nudges this thicket, and this little basket rack 8-point stands up. Well, he doesn't just stand up and stand still. He takes off across the field.
Oh, sure.
Now he's about 75 or 80 yards away, kind of quartering away, just a touch. And I raise the gun up. I got a good rest on a tree. I squeeze it off. It's a muzzle loader, so there's a big cloud of smoke out in front. Deer takes off. We immediately go to the spot, find blood. We start tracking this deer. It crossed a creek, and I swear to you, this deer went. Chris knows how our farm's kind of laid out. It went up behind the lake. It went all the way up into Aspen Run and died up in a development 3 miles away. This is no joke. Like, we finally caught up to the deer, and his stomach is hanging out. His intestines are hanging out. He's got blood everywhere, but he's just alive and panting in this lady's backyard. So she comes outside on her porch. She sees two guys walking. One of them's got a gun, orange. She comes out on her back porch, and I'm like, "Listen, this is the deal. We've been tracking this deer. He's injured. He's laying right over there." She's like, "Let me put the dogs inside. Put the deer down." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, thank you."
Thank you.
So, one more shot to the chest, and then we ended up. My dad drove all the way from our farm. He had to drive almost 5 miles to get to us to pick this deer up. Man, that was what an adventure! What an adventure that was.
So that's a story, that's the cool part about doing an episode like this, because we all have stories, and Chris said it last week. Sometimes it's the deer you don't get are the stories you remember even fonder than the ones you do get sometimes, because something goes unaccording to plan.
Yep.
I just want to touch on that real quick before Chris wants to tell a story. I know that it's always heartbreaking and heart wrenching when you hit a deer and you follow blood until you can't follow it anymore. And that, I mean, unfortunately, that's what happened. But I was telling him, Kris and my dad and his daughters kind of hung back, and they were looking and scouring, looking for a dead deer,
Hmm.
while me and his oldest son Presley kind of pressed the lead, and we were looking for blood and following a trail. And I understand that we didn't get the deer, but for me, that was so much fun being with Presley. And Presley's like, okay, well, this is how I think he went, and he would find a spot of blood, and I was
That's
like,
the
yes,
best.
this is awesome. This is so fun.
I actually told Ron a similar story today. Him and I, kind of half-heartedly went out on Saturday to, where we duck hunt. There's been a lot of doves. So I said, let's go out here. I'm going to take my girls out. Let's just sit out here for a little bit. And we're going to film this product spot he was doing. It's a good spot. It's not, I don't want to say it's halfway between me and Ron, but it's not that far. It's an easy drive for both of us.
Hmm.
It was a beautiful day. And I took my girls out with me too. The first time we really went hunting together and getting snacks and all that stuff. And to me, it was like, I told Ron this earlier, it was like this kind of insignificant moment because nothing really happened. We're just out there laughing, and we were only there for like an hour or two. And then we left, and me and Ron did the little spot he did, and I took the girls to breakfast. And that is all they have talked about all week. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got to remember that something insignificant to me or you, or that we're looking in a different way, it just means the world to them. I mean, last year, for most of us, Lee, you can attest, Josh, you didn't do a ton, I don't think, last year, but like duck hunting last year sucked across the board.
Yeah.
And I've said this a bunch of times, but Presley was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
He ended up having a little bit of success, but just coming out and being with the guys and like, we
Yep.
take that for granted now, but he just thought that was cool.
Well, I took Easton 3 times to Aztec with me by just the two of us,
Mhm.
and I didn't come home with a single duck all 3 times, but he thought it was the world.
Oh
He
yeah.
got to
Yeah.
spend the day on the island,
Yeah.
set the decoys, unpack my bag, eat the blind snacks. Like it was the world to him. To a kid, you don't have to get anything; just the experience is enough for them.
Yeah.
So that's the question. Like, what is a successful hunt? I was telling you guys earlier today. I saw some deer, and I consider it a successful hunt. I got out, had an awesome day. It was an awesome morning sit. Saw some movement, and regardless of the outcome of the day, that's a good hunt. And so to like Kris's point, what is insignificant to us because we've seen 1,000 sunrises, is majestic to somebody that doesn't do it all the time, especially the youth. And I
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
the fact that we got some youngsters that they appreciate it,
Yeah.
because some people take that for granted regardless.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this, Ron. You're bow hunting right now,
Yep.
and we all grew up with guns. We all grew up, rifle hunting and muzzleloader hunting. But there's something about sitting in a tree stand with a bow and having deer that you can pee on off the tree stand
Yes.
under you. That's something. I mean, that's just like duck hunting. To get ducks to decoy and land in your decoys and swim around and mess around, all over the place. I don't have to shoot them. That's the hunt right there. It's just getting the ducks in the water in front of me.
I was thinking about this today because I mean, I shared this last week, but I've been passing on a lot of little deer, and that's just the way my season's been this year. Little deer coming in, and they come in because they're stupid. They're young deer. You know what I mean? You don't get big. The big ones aren't stupid. They didn't get big by being dumb. But I saw a little deer. I thought it was a little doe, a little yearling coming into me today, and it was the button buck we were texting about, a couple days ago. But it was just a little button buck. And this guy, man, he comes in like within 3 feet of the ladder of my stand, and he's just oblivious. But it's so awesome, even though it's a younger deer, to be that close to a wild animal and
Mm-hmm.
be undetected.
Yep.
It is can't explain it. Can't
Yep.
explain it.
Yeah, we've come home plenty of times empty-handed and still said it was just a great day. I mean, a day in the woods beats a bad day at work. So,
Oh man, I was this close to calling off today, because I was hunting before work, but duty calls. So
Mhm.
Save your call off for Monday when the cold front comes in.
That's right.
I'm taking I mean, next week I'm hunting all week. Like I'm taking my vacation, so you'll know where I'll
Yeah.
be. You guys will
Yep.
probably. I'll be texting you more than normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Josh, you tell the next story because what you tell is going to depend on what I tell.
Okay. Which story I tell?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a direction that you want me to go?
No, I just
Because
have
I
a
have a lot of
couple.
stories.
I don't want to repeat myself. So, and
No, it's
most
okay.
funny stories involve you anyway. So,
Yeah, that's what when I was on Average Joe's, I was trying to think of stories, and I'm like, all my stories have Chris in them. So I
yeah.
had to listen to your episode beforehand, and I was like, okay, I can't tell this one or this one. All right, let me tell one that I mean, let me just talk about Peyton's first year a couple
Yeah,
weeks
that's what
ago,
everybody
man.
wants to hear about. Tell that one.
Yeah, we all want to hear
That
this.
was man,
Yep.
what an experience that was. First off, just her putting on the face paint in my truck was like the coolest thing ever. And she looked a little blackface. I'm sorry, but like, what are you supposed to do? She's 11
She
years old.
did good, man. It was awesome.
Oh man, it was. Um. Anyway, she has just always been kind of a natural with a gun in her hand. I mean, I know we just pellet guns and BB guns and 22s and stuff, but for being a lefty and you know, it's just a natural thing for her. So I took her out maybe a week or so before muzzleloader season came in, and I had her shoot the muzzleloader 3 or 4 times. First time, I was like, okay, listen, it's going to kick a little bit. Just aim for the paper. She held it on the bullseye, she said, and hit a couple inches left. And then she's like, oh, this doesn't kick hardly at all. So it's fine. And then she just, from there, she just walked it in.
Yep.
And so she was real comfortable with the gun. And when I was having her shoot it, we were shooting out of the blind that we were going to be hunting. I figured this is where she's going to shoot. I want her to get comfortable on this rail, you know. So, man, that day came and I mean, she was itching to go and I was itching to get her out there. I must have done 80 miles an hour on the way home from work and it's only 5 minutes away. To pick her up and get ready to go. Um, and I know I was trying to get some video of it and all this stuff on the way to the stand, but we pretty much sprinted to the blind. She really wanted to get in the blind, and we had our corn pile out that she helped me put out a couple of days before, and we weren't in there 25 minutes, and this little deer came out, and she saw it first, and I asked her, I said, Peyton, that's a little deer. I was like, you do what you want. Chris knows. I was like, we love to eat. She goes, Dad, I don't care how big it is, and I was like, okay,
Hunt your
it's on
hunt.
you. I was like, it's on you. Camera's on if you want to do it. And then you guys know the rest. And I think most of you have watched the video, but you guys see how excited and reactive I get. I mean, that was not mainly because it was my child, and I'm passing this great thing on that we all love. But I don't know. For me, it was super special because she's a girl.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I don't know. I'm not trying to sound whatever, but she's the first girl to ever kill a deer on our farm, on our property. She's the first female Buchman hunter at all. So, like, I don't know. Raise the bar, Peyton. I love it.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. Great shared
Awesome.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh texted me. I took my girls out for a hike to a local park up here, and I did not have good service. Josh didn't have good service. So I think you sent me a picture of you two together.
Yep.
And then I get this random text, don't say anything or post anything.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
what's happening? And I didn't hear anything. And you're like, I don't have good service. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like standing on top of this hiking trail with my kids. And I'm like, what is happening?
You got half the story, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, did Peyton get one? And you didn't answer me. And I'm like, I feel like you right now. I remember texting it. I said, I feel like you anxious, you know? Then a couple minutes later, I got the picture and, just a cool
Yeah. It was awesome.
thing, I've I've had that with Presley and ducks and my other son Tristan with the pheasant. Uh, I kind of had to make the weird, it's not weird, but the decision, a couple years ago, because my oldest boy and my dad are real tight. Josh will tell you.
Hmm.
And our dad's jam is deer hunting. That's his thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked me, and he said, I understand if you don't. He said, but I really would like to take Presley out for the youth day and take him out. And, as a dad, I wanted to do it too, right? But that's his thing. We were with our grandfathers, Josh and I, when we killed our first deer. So it was cool. And he's done that a couple of years. And then he took my other son, Tristan, out last year to get their first deer. So it was kind of a hard pill to swallow, but cool at the same time, if that makes sense.
There's no wrong
Yeah.
way to do it because, I mean, look, I think we all do this, and everybody that's part of our network feels the same way. We're just excited to see youth having fun, being involved.
Oh yeah.
And we want to find ways to get them involved and be part of what we enjoy. So it brings all of us a lot of pleasure to see that.
So yeah. All right, I'm going to tell two quick ones.
All right.
The first one is probably, I don't know if it was the first time, but it was one of the first times that Josh and I, outside of being kids and just running around the woods with kids, started using the term like UCH or unconventional hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was opening day of rifle season on our family's actual working farm that we don't have anymore. Lee had been there a bunch rabbit hunting. And he'll tell you, it was just a cool place. It wasn't big. It was about 80 acres of like a rectangle. And you went down this 1/4-mile long driveway. And then it was like, probably when you're pulling up to your cabin, Ron, it's like you're going down that lane and the world is like washing away from you, right?
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So you can go down this lane and we get down to the bottom and it was all the old buildings and machine sheds and barn, the house that I lived in as a kid for a little while. There's just woods everywhere. There's a pond. And it was like, okay, this is like free world, right? So we've talked about it before, but our grandfather there, he had an office in one of his little machine sheds down there, fully furnished. And we would meet there. You'd go to the bathroom there. There was a shower in there. Everybody would change in there. At any point in time, there's an arsenal of guns and ammo and enough ammo to stock a Bass Pro Shop, So we would go there and change, get warm, change locations. Hey, I got a deer here. Okay, I saw a bunch of deer. Why don't you switch with me and come here? So it was a colder day. Josh and I, about lunchtime, we're like, let's just change some things up. So we decided we're going to walk he had beef steer. We're going to walk this pasture, this upper fence. We're going to walk it together. And we're going to look down over this little gully where, Lee, I'm talking about, we rabbit hunted a whole bunch in that little valley by the stream. It's about 200 yards across, and it's like a little just cow pasture gully with like a little cut stream. Every farm has it. Josh and I are walking, and I look over, and there's a log laying there. And I'm like, that's weird. Never seen that before. And I look up. Well, that log stands up, and it's probably, Josh, what do you think, 150-inch? I mean, like Bambi's dad.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't really get up. It hops the fence, walks away, goes through. We're on the edge of our property, goes to another part of the property. We're like, holy cow, look at that. A couple minutes later, we go up a little dog leg 50, 60 yards away, and all we see is a white tail thrashing. And Lee, what's the term for it? It had barbed wire on the top, but it's like a bigger chicken wire pasture fence. There's a term for it, and I can't think of what it is.
Yeah, the cattle panel.
Yeah, yep. And all we see is this thing thrashing and, tearing up like a bucking bronco into this thing. Its head is stuck. So Josh and I are like, that's that buck. It freaked out. Its head stuck in the fence. Let's shoot this sucker.
Right.
So I motion to him. We get down. He drops down like it's Call of Duty, like he's going to snipe this thing. I get on the fence, 3, 2, 1, bang, shoot this thing. It falls dead in the fence. We're high-fiving. We jump the fence, run over to it, and we're like, hey, look at this thing. We killed this monster buck. Well, it was a button buck. It was a button buck. Got stuck in the fence and was just so burred up and, like a dog.
You were convinced it was the wall hanger.
But we had convinced ourselves in that 35, 40 seconds it was this monster buck, and we laughed for probably half an hour. The caveat to that whole story is we cleaned it up, and around the corner from our farm not long ago was a place where you could donate to like hunters feeding the hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So we took it there. We're walking in and we're like, oh, we got this little button buck. I mean, it's like Lee's wall behind you there. You know, when you go to these butcher shops, right? Somebody had a smaller deer, and I don't know, Josh just said it out loud. Whoa, that guy's deer's way smaller than ours. Yeah. So we had a good laugh at that. So, I mean, that's something. Every time I drive by that property, I think about that, just laughing,
Yeah.
you know, with that. And then the
Every time
second
I
part,
drive past that property, hang on real quick, because just to throw back to something Ron said earlier about, you know, getting in there and kicking brush and being the dog. That's
Yeah.
what I think about every time I drive past that property is all the times that you and everybody else made me go through the briars to get all those rabbits out.
yeah, yeah,
Somebody's got to do it, Josh. Somebody's got to do it.
When Eiler's dog ran away and you had to be the dog for the day.
yeah.
I was the dog.
And then you took the dog.
Then I took the dog.
Yeah. So I'm actually out of line. I'm going to tell a brief story after that. Then I'm going to tell another story real quick. So
Yep.
another time after that, and how Lee and I met was we worked at night for the sheriff's department. And at that time, we loved it. I mean, there was nothing better than our night shift at that time. And him and I, outdoorsmen, we would go rabbit hunting all the time after work, you know, and then we would go do different things. Well, it was rifle season. I had to work one night. My dad was going to go hunting. I said, Dad, leave my gun and stuff up by this barn. And it's the same fence line. I said, I'm going to just walk this fence line after I get off work and see what happens. I get there. I think I threw a hoodie on. I still had my full uniform on. I walk this fence line and a little buck pops his head up. I shoot it. It takes off. I see it drop. I go over to it, and one of his antlers is missing. I'm like, what the heck? So randomly, I see where he's at. Randomly, I stick my hand in it had snowed. I stick my hand in the snow, total random spot, and I pull his antler out. I find his antler. So then my dad comes down to help us. We're dragging out. My dad pulls the other antler out. It's not late season.
He was ready to let go, though.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is like early December.
Yeah, it was right around my wife's birthday, so it was like the first week of December. The only thing I can see, the deer had like swollen knees. I don't know if I got hit by a car, but actually, I have it was just a little basket rack thing. I have them hanging up here, just a little tiny, just cool. Gnarly looking little buck. You know, that I thought was cool. Then I'm going to tell a story. I'm going to tell my side of a story real quick. Then to hear the rest, I'm going to give a shameless plug. To hear the rest of the story, you got to go to Average Joe's podcast and listen to the rest with Josh. Okay, so there was a day we went out and we killed 2 8-points. Josh has already told the story. I had it on that same farm. I had a box blind. Our grandfather would take plywood, 2x4s, paint them black, build these box blinds up in trees, only about 10 or 12 foot tall, solid sides. I just liked hunting there. It was just comfortable. It was the family farm. I just liked it. It was during the late rut. Buck Bomb, that product was really big at the time.
Yeah.
And I was sold on it. And another caveat to that is I used that wrong the first time. I thought that it was like a spray paint can. And it came out the other way. So I'm walking in the woods one day and I'm spraying it, not realizing it's soaking my hand.
It's shooting up, yeah.
Because it's going up, right? So I take this out. I spray all over the woods. I spray a circle around my tree stand. I set it off. Kind of, you could lock it almost like a bug bomb and throw it off in the woods. I mean, it was 15, 20 minutes later, the sun comes up. Here comes this really pretty, just little basket rack. The definition of that 8-point comes out bone white. I shoot it. It runs a little bit, drops. This is where the story starts to get funny. It's a foggy morning. We're wearing full camouflage. It's the rut. This thing ran with a group of does. It's laying there dying, and it's grunting and at these does. It's not making dying noises. It's making like it has a grunt call.
Yeah.
Still has as Ron would say, its favorite thing on its mind. It's not ice cream. uh, still grunting at that. So I go over here. Josh is like, where? He hears me shoot, gets down. Where are you? It's foggy. We're wearing full camouflage. She's like, I cannot find you in the woods here. So if you listen to the Average Joes, a group of does and another group of deer ran to another part of our property. And I said, Josh, we can kind of go this way. Let's set up. They're going to come out over here eventually. We set up on that. Josh was successful. Again, you got to hear his part of the story. Listen to Average Joe's, and you'll get a good part of the rest of that story. But we killed 2 really pretty 8 points that day, and I had a good laugh. So,
those are cool stories. And plug for the Average Joe's Hunting Podcast. Go check them out. Great group of guys. And they recently had Josh on, and he was telling some stories. You want to hear the rest of that one? Go listen to that episode. So I'm sitting here. I'm listening to all these tales. Last weekend, I went out, and I hung out with Kris and his daughters, and we took in an awesome sunrise and hung out for a little bit in the morning. On Saturday morning, and did a quasi dove hunt together, and till mid morning, and then my plan was to go get in the deer woods and hunt the rest of the day. But the night before, I guess it was the night before, maybe it was that night, I went out and I was in my tree stand on Friday night and didn't see anything. But whenever I went back to my truck, there's another hunter had his truck in the parking lot. And you never know, when you're hunting and you see these other trucks, who it might be. But, it was dark and we were both getting out of the woods pretty much at the same time. The guy comes up and he recognized me from the year before, because the year before I had shot a buck last year. I hit it in the shoulder, and this guy was hunting the property, and it was dark, and he saw the deer running off with my arrow in it because I had a illuminated nock in my arrow. Yeah. So anyway, the whole point of this story is we bumped into each other, and you sit there and it's pitch black. You've been sitting out in the cold for hours on end. Neither of us were successful in what we would call a successful harvest of a hunt, but we stood there at the tailgate and we talked for 30 minutes. How's your season going? This is what I'm seeing. I shared on last week's episode how I had an encounter a week ago with a really nice deer, and I was in a ground blind, and it had me pinned in the blind because I was in the middle of a field and I couldn't get out, without spooking him and running him off. Well, here this other hunter, he'd come in that night, and he saw the blind in the field, and he's like, maybe I hit something. It's kind of dark for me to still be out there, for my truck to still be parked there. So we got to share some stories and stuff. And that's what hunting is all about. That's what hunt camp is all about. It's about sharing stories. Like, I don't know this guy from anybody other than I met him one time, and he helped me, trail a deer. And so, that's what this episode's about. It's about hanging out. It's about telling stories, reliving memories and stuff. I was sitting here while you guys were talking, and I broke out the logbook, and I was just like looking through the logbook and like old stories. And I could sit and I ought to do an audio version and just read through that thing, but probably not. There's certain things that probably need to be left in the book and unsaid. But there's a couple of things at our hunting camp that it's like, if you know, if you've been around, and so my brother-in-law, he's not a big hunter. Like, he's not a hunter like I am, where I'm taking vacation this time of year and spending a whole week, but he likes to go out. He likes to hunt. It's a getaway for him. But whenever he would come to hunting camp, and it's like maybe once a year, it would always rain. So we would dog on him because, it's raining because Shane's at camp with us this week. It's raining again, my brother, every time he's had a successful hunt, my dad had, my brother's like the camp cook. and my dad would have done the dishes. Now, dad does the dishes after my brother cooks the meal just about every time, growing up at least. That's the way that it was. But for my brother, it was, no, Pap, you need to do the dishes or else I'm not going to have any luck tomorrow. I only have luck if you do the dishes. So all through our journal of our family hunting log is Pap didn't do dishes last night and we didn't see any deer. Or Pap did dishes and killed massive buck. So like those are the sort of things that it's like, if you had to be there, but if and those
Mhm.
were like the traditions, the tailgate traditions that you guys talk about on, with 3B and that sort of stuff. One of the things I was thinking about is my older brother, Josh, you said about all your stories have Kris in it. Well, that's the way it is when you got brothers. You
Mhm.
grow up, you do stuff together and you make memories together. And, my older brother, he's taught me a lot about hunting, and I've said it on this show a lot, but, there was a time when I was younger and he was younger too, where it didn't matter how much wind was blowing, how much the rain was howling. Like, we were getting up and we were going to go out and just enjoy the hunt. And I was thinking about this earlier this year because now, his boy's grown and he hunts with us a lot, and he's gung ho. And it doesn't matter what the weather's doing. But we went up to the cabin and did like a weekend hunt, and on Sunday it was raining. And now, if it's raining too hard, you hear the rain. You wake up in the morning, it's cold out. You hear the rain on the roof of the camp. So, you know what? The fire feels pretty good today. I'm going to just sleep in, you know. But my nephew is gung ho. Come on, man. Let's go out and get wet and do it. And those are the cool things that you see, like with your kids and the next generation and stuff, because you see that little bit of you when you were younger, right?
Mhm.
Passing that down. That's why it's awesome to hear stories. Josh talking about your daughter Peyton getting her deer, and you getting excited. I'm sure that she's carries that within her too. Like, she's gonna get amped as she continues to have success. And Kris, it was awesome to go out and hang out with you and your girls, and to hear, Kris and I, we took them back to the truck, and then we went down to do a video spot for a promo that we were doing and stuff. And we weren't 50 yards from where they were, but we could hear them, and they were just singing in the truck and having a good time and just being kids, you
Yeah.
know. And man, I got to tell you, that brings joy to my heart. And that's what the podcast and the collaborative group that we've got, like, that's what it's all about. It's like sharing these stories and telling tales and um, making memories together. So we do it separately, we do it individually, but it's cool. Kris said it to me earlier this week, or maybe it was earlier today. But we got to be intentional about hanging out more and getting together and doing some of the stuff like we did last weekend in person. So hopefully this year we'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got some stuff I'm working on now. I met a young group of hunters that want to, kind of cross pollinate with us, kind of do the same thing. Come on the podcast. They live about an hour north of Harrisburg, big time, just outdoorsmen. They're actually going to Cambridge the opening week of duck season, Lee, to try to get on some ducks down there. So, but they've expressed that we could come up there and do some stuff. So that's really not that far to take a road trip. Is what I'm trying to say. We could jump in the truck and
Yep.
go up there and just laugh and have a good time. Colby's house, the Snyder farm that Lee and I were at, or I'm sorry, Ron and I were at, trying to get Lee to go there. Josh has been there briefly. I mean, that dude just said, "This place is yours. Come have fun." So let's do it. You know.
Well, guys, I appreciate the effort of coming on here and working through the technological struggles. But the storytelling is always a good. It's fun to go back and listen to this after the fact too. Because we're sharing memories and stuff. One thing that you guys, I'll leave with you before we wrap the show up is, like I said, if you know, you know, but the rut is always undefeated. The rut never loses. So good luck to you guys this time of year. I'm going to go hunting all next week. It is rut season. We didn't even really talk about the rut, but full moon this
Yep.
week, which is why I'm not taking this week to hunt.
Yep.
I'm going to hunt next week. But man, the deer are on their feet. So
Yep.
they're all nuancy things that you can do to try to put yourself in the right position to be successful. But at the end of the day, successful hunt is just getting out and time well spent outdoors. So
There you go.
any final comments from the group?
I know the three of us are going to hopefully be pretty busy in 2 weeks.
Hopefully.
If the government opens up, we'll be busy with some opening season duck hunting, and then of course rifle season's right around the corner. So I know for a fact all three of us will be in the woods.
It's going to be busy.
Yeah.
It's going to be busy the next month or so.
Ron invited us to come bear hunting with him that same weekend. Just FYI.
You can't hunt ducks and hunt bear at the same time. So you got to make it. You got to make a choice.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes down to what the government does.
Yep.
That's right.
Don't let the government make a choice for you guys. If you learn anything, don't let the government make a choice for you. All right, right on, guys. Well, listen, appreciate you hanging out as always. We want to remind our viewers and our listeners to get outdoors. Want you guys to make nature your playground, and always remember just to stay wild. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.
See ya.
See you guys.